We're at the 25th CROI. We really appreciate TK, who was the star of the show last night.
Yeah.
I know we don't often have that. We always have this stodgy stuff and openings that are very detailed. We have the Ngali Man lecture, which is great, and
Yes.
Bernard Field's lecture, and then you came on, and like, wow, very different. We do often have musical numbers, occasionally musical numbers, but yours was inspired. And I think before we get too far down the line, let's let you tell a little bit about your background and how you came to become more activist.
Well, I guess my background will go as far as the activism come. It will go all the way back 20 years when I found out I was HIV positive. I think my thought was to prepare for death.
Grim days.
Yes, the grim days. So that was my thought. HIV equals AIDS and AIDS equal death. But after, I think, a car wreck, drug addiction, and so many other things that I did in order to numb the pain of HIV, I realized that my reckless behavior was the issue and it wasn't HIV. And so once I changed my reckless behavior, then I saw that HIV was power to me. It showed me how to live. It gave me a reason to live. And it also gave me inspiration to help others to live. So that's my background in activism. Because I am HIV positive, I want to help other people, whether it be through prevention or whether it be through treatment.
But you saw this evolution of the science over the years, which
I was
really
part
gave
of the evolution.
Yeah, right. You're invested in trials and
Yes.
everything that came down the pipe. And that also gave you more hope.
Yes, it gave me hope looking back, but I think going through it, I didn't really have too much hope because I had to take the medicine. I had to take 30 pills a day. I was on some very harsh drugs.
Yeah,
so
it tasted like gasoline and everything
ooh,
else. Yeah.
wow, what are you talking about? I just want to say Videx, those big white pills back in the day, and then they had Viricep that swole up in your throat before you could swallow it. So it was all of those different drugs.
But it's changed now.
It has.
Yes,
I only take one
thankfully.
pill a day.
Right, there you
Yes,
go.
so that's a good thing.
But it's exciting that and as I said to you when you came in this morning, that I wish you could multiply yourself, because it's really
amazing.
good when people like yourself who have become empowered and who have a vision of changing the world, at least as much of the world as you can,
Yes.
for others.
Yes.
More people need to do that. More people who are in leadership positions, more people who are in star power positions
I appreciate it.
need to come out and do this. And the program, can you talk a little bit about the program? Because I know you can't re-perform it here.
No, I cannot. I'll try my best, though.
But try to define it or portray it.
Well, You Shall Live to Zero is my second production. My very first production, You Shall Live, was 10 years ago, and I actually worked with a church, and we focused more on Black women and HIV because that was the big statistic then. Now the big statistic is 1 in 2 African American men end up with HIV. Me personally, I was upset about it because I knew that we had all the biomedical tools in order for us to stop the spread of HIV and stop AIDS death. So I got really upset and I called Mark Hubbard, who is an amazing man, and we had lunch and we sat down and talked, and I asked him, could we really get to zero? Because I saw other cities talking about getting to zero. So I wanted to know if Nashville, Tennessee could get to zero, and he said yes. And so I did what any other Nashvilleian would do. I would write a song. And so I was at home and I was walking around and I kept hearing this thought of zero, we gotta get to zero, we need to get to zero, we can make it if we try. And I thought it was kind of weird, but I have a musician friend who's amazing, and his name is Nate Bean. He's a gospel singer. And I called him over and I said, listen to this and tell me what you think. And I sung it to him, and he didn't say it was dumb. He said he liked it.
Yeah.
And that gave me hope, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I got 5 activists that I work with. One, a young lady named Ebony. She's a support. She's a cisgender woman, Black, and she helps the gay community. And I asked her, how did she start that whole thing? And she said it was based off of her uncle dying, who was a straight man in the Bahamas. And so she wanted to help her family, so she became the voice of support. I have another friend, Justin Lofton. He was on a trial of the AMP study, antibody-mediated prevention study, and I wanted him to tell his story about that. We also had someone who was on PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is Truvada, and then me, myself, treatment as prevention. And we had a young man at the time who only used condoms. He didn't want to be on PrEP, he didn't want to be on AMP, he just wanted to use condoms. So I wanted all of those biomedical advancements to be out there to tell their story and to have different genres of zero. Ebony was more of a worshipy, slow thing. Justin was jazzy because he was just had this upbeat. Vic Sorrell, he was country because, hey, Nashville, Tennessee, country music. And I was gospel because I have this big voice of gospel. And LaDon at the time, he was neo soul, this smooth kind of jazz, new jazz. So we all made different zero songs, still the same message. And we did it. And the first night it was, which debuted at Tennessee State University, historically black college. It was amazing. I didn't even know it was gonna do what it did, actually, man. I just really wanted to kind of do something for National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day in 2007. And this is my idea here, you guys. And from that, we got the opportunity to go to a studio. Someone paid for us to go to the studio and create a full song. We created the full song, and we've been everywhere from USTA to NASTAD to the Civil Rights Museum. So yeah, this came about.
This is so good, but you know, the thing is, we've got so much going on in everybody's mind, and we talked about that earlier. There's so many people that are, you know, I think people like to put everybody in a box. They say, oh, that's a black male. Whereas the thing we're learning is that everybody has nuances. You mentioned the 5 or 6 different aspects, but that's just basic. There's more this way or that way, and there's reasons why people don't get into treatment. We need more reasons to get into treatment because it's so easy.
After we did it, many people didn't know that there was a pill to prevent HIV. And I'm going to be more specific, in the black community, they didn't know. So that's the reason why the statistics I felt was the 1 and 2. They don't know because they're not going to seek the information, and I don't want to put black people in a different box, but I do want to say they weren't trying to seek the information. So they needed a way to get this information and make it palatable so they could taste it, feel it, and so song was a great way, a story was a great way, and a familiar face was a great way. And I think once we laid that foundation, it clicked and said, we have the power to stop those types of things. Now, there are some other layers in the black community or the African American community that we still have to deal with. But if we could just give them the information, then now it's their responsibility, or the onus is on them to now go and do something about it. So.
Because it's such we just talked about the terrible drugs of the old days.
Yes.
And yet we did them.
Yes, we had to, because we didn't know what else to do. We wanted to live.
This is it. And then before those, we had all these alternatives that were like, you know, really weird things. But we did something because I think those of us that wanted hope and wanted to do something. Okay, now we really have something that's really effective and really, I won't want to say innocuous, but almost innocuous, because they don't. The drugs are easy. They don't seem to have side effects, and the fact is that you've got to do them, or you'll have a worse course of disease.
And in some communities, you can get them for free. So
yeah, right. I mean, there's so many ways. And I just had Linda and Tim from the Fair Pricing Coalition talking about the work that they're doing to try to make sure that everybody has this accessibility.
Okay.
Because every time you do, unintended certain things, unintended consequences change the dynamic or the landscape. So they're working really hard to make sure that people don't fall through the cracks.
Yes.
But there's, like we talked earlier, it's important to become a little bit of a demander of services. When you say, well, we can't do that, you can't do anything with a negative. You got to say, how can we do this?
Yes, I
how
like
can
that.
I get these treatments? I have to have these treatments. I know that I was told that I can have these treatments. How do I do it? And you keep on fighting. Eventually you get to the right person and you can get access.
I like that.
A lot of the drug companies have these access programs. So you need to make sure that, and a lot of times you'll have people who are like knowledgeable in the community, who are in the black community, who are the ones to check in with. Check in with this guy because he knows the ways to get around. Case managers, typically. But they should be activists too, because like I said, the landscape is changing and you have to tweak what you're doing to get access to the treatments.
Well, the great thing about where I live in Nashville, Tennessee, we have a one-stop shop that's geared towards African-American men. We've been working on this grant, 15-1502. It's a collaboration, Nashville Cares, Streetworks, as well as Neighborhood Health, which is a clinic. And we made a one-stop shop or a safe space for men of color. We have case managers, we have people who can just teach you about prevention. We have condoms, lube, we have a game room, we have a clinic on site, we have a drug company on site, Nashville Pharmacy. So everything a young man needs of color or of any other ethnicity can actually come in and get it right then, and even just come in and chill out with us. So again, we have it there. I think just trying to find other ways to get the information out there or replicate
that. You have it in Nashville, and it's obviously working, and you're working really hard to get to zero there.
Yeah.
But we need to say, okay, if this happened in Seattle, or it happened in San Francisco, happened in Nashville, there's no reason in the world that it can't happen in your city too.
It can.
And they have to just have people like yourself, and I mean, you're able to write up a list of how to put this together. The directions on how to make it happen.
But I had a great team. I do have to continue to say I had a great team. I literally had everything I needed in my box. I needed a musician, it was there. I needed background singers, they were there. I needed someone to create a logo. I needed someone to do I needed people, and people really came in as community and said, let's help. I don't know if it's because of my beautiful looks. Say yes.
I think you're both, and
it's my
that plus
looks.
your inspiration.
Okay, then my inspiration.
Everything.
I just need you to say my beautiful
you're
looks.
You're the right person.
Thank you.
You made it happen.
I appreciate it. But yeah, I did, and again, it's not only me, it's again the people who are around me who supported me and said, hey, let's do it. So.
And it was important last night to let the very doctors who are doing all this tedium work, I will tell you, a lot of the old days, everybody that was in the fight in the science were activists.
Yes.
Today, there's more people getting into, they want a job and this and that. But I really believe that people don't get into this for the money, because there's more money elsewhere.
Right.
And it's the most difficult job in science to find an answer and a cure for this disease.
Yes.
So they're not in it for the money, so they're in it because they really feel a need for them to be in it.
Yes.
So you giving them that thank you effect.
For saving my life 20 years ago.
For saving your life and all of your fellow citizens of Nashville amongst the whole country. This is an amazing opportunity for them. I know that they're glued to their seats and they're kind of like, they're thinking about their science project that they got to present and all this stuff. They're kind of stodgy, but they needed to hear that from you. It's kind of like
that.
We are always out there to tell our congressmen, our senators, blast them for what they didn't do or whatever. We have to thank them for the things they do.
That's right, man.
When those rare moments happen.
That is right, man.
So you doing that last night was a great opportunity for everybody.
Thank you. They like me. They really like me. No, I really appreciate it. It felt good, and I appreciate Mark Hubbard and the whole team of CROI actually liking me and getting
it was
me here.
lucky that you had him there, because he is one of the community members. So it was logical to say, hey, wait a minute, we can put this to work, right?
Mark was actually supposed to be in the production. He didn't say that last night. He was actually supposed to, and he said, I just can't do it.
I could hardly get him to do interviews in the show.
Right.
So he's always about perfection and this sort of thing. You got to just go with it.
Yeah.
Make it
I
happen.
love it. Thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone from CROI to invite me here and let me have a voice to say thank you and to present myself to them.
It was definitely two sides. They needed it. You needed it. It worked.
Oh, please tell me I'm beautiful.
You're beautiful.
Thank you. God, I finally got it.
All right, thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.